Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, Diddy, whatever you want to call him, has recently been named in a 73-page lawsuit in the Southern District of New York by producer Lil Rod, also known as Rodney Jones, who produced 9 tracks on Diddy's more recent project, Love. Now, what makes this situation and lawsuit more remarkable than the others that seem to be happening back-to-back almost weekly now against Diddy is the fact of the evidence that's being brought forth. Now, he's not just making allegations, but these claims are backed up by videos, photos, written statements, witnesses who are prepared to testify either at subpoena or during the discovery process to come out the woodwork and say what really has been going on behind the scenes by and through Diddy. Now, the intention of my video is not for gossip purposes, and I'm going to get to my point at the very end, but let's quickly go through the summary of what actually has taken place and what is being alleged in these documents with some verifiable proof. Let's check it out. Now, the first of these occurrences took place at Chalice Studios, September 12th of 2022. Now, there was a writer and producer camp. This is where writers and producers come together to formulate some music, to kick it either to a particular artist or maybe to work together and then begin pitching it to different places. Now, on one of the nights during this camp that they were having, Diddy, his son Justin, and a gentleman by the name of G started having an argument in the studio, left and went to the bathroom adjacent to the studio. Moments later, there were gunshots that rang out. Mr. Jones ran over to see that both Diddy and his son Justin had exited the bathroom, and when he went in, he saw this gentleman G, about 30 years of age, laying in a fetal position on the bathroom, and he was bleeding. Realizing that nobody else was doing anything, rushed down, began to apply pressure on the gentleman's wounds, sat him up on a toilet seat, had somebody call the ambulance. And during this whole occurrence, Diddy basically told everybody who was there at the camp, listen, nobody say that he was shot in here, say that he got shot out in the street by a drive-by and we brought him back in here. So that's exactly what everybody did. He even had the ability to tell the police this story, and even though they came in to investigate, didn't do anything further, took his word for it because, as later on in this document you'll see, Jones says that he has power, Diddy has power with the police and with authorities. He's essentially above the law. And as you can see in this document here that was put up on CBS News, it says man was shot outside party at Hollywood recording studio, but that was never the case at all. It was a big fabricated lie. And Jones says that he actually has the clothes that still have the bloodstains on them from G to prove that he was shot there in the studio. It says they have witnesses who are corroborating this information, who have been in fear for retaliation by Mr. Combs, and they've agreed to speak publicly when subpoenaed. And as you can see here, here's some of the pictures of the bloodstains and whatnot. In the bathroom, viewer discretion obviously is advised. The problem here was the fact that this was a studio that UMG had set everything up for, Motown Records, etc. And the bottom line is there was supposed to be protection. There was security there that was frisking everybody coming in. And why would they still allow these two to come in with a weapon? They basically put everybody's life at risk by doing this. Mr. Jones went on to say that he suffered from PTSD, anxiety, depression, and insomnia as a result of that occurrence. Now, Lil Rod goes on to say in the second occurrence, what took place is that Diddy was trying to sexually harass and assault him. He mentions that Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Quorum, who's also alleged to be the Ghislaine Maxwell in the music industry, if you will, set things up specifically, and whenever he would get groped by Diddy, which he discusses in here about being touched or being forced to work in bathrooms where Diddy was walking around naked or showering in a clear glass enclosure, and he says as a heterosexual Christian man, he was uncomfortable with the advances expressed as discomfort to Mr. Combs and to Christina Quorum, KK, that's her name that she goes by. And she said, you know what, look, Sean will be Sean, kind of downplaying the whole thing. And then when he was groped in his anus and his genitals, she said that that was friendly horseplay and those were acts by Combs' way of showing that he likes you. And whenever Combs was starting to do these things or get naked and walk around, she would say, okay, I'm leaving now, and take off, knowing what was up, basically setting the situation up. And he said this made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Now, let me say right here, when things start going weird and going south, okay, we know right here, if something like that starts happening, you're going to exit the room. You're going to be like, nah, man, I don't roll that way. Right. Or you're going to stand up and get aggressive. Like, well, what's up? Like, you know what I mean? You're going to confront this thing head on. You're not going to allow this to occur and just be cool with it and stick around. So I will say, I do not think that this guy was innocent by any stretch of the imagination to any of these allegations. I think that he was very much involved. And one of two things occurred. he either realized, you know what, something's going to happen here and I'm going to be the fall guy, so I'm going to come out and get out in front of this thing and say that I'm a victim here, okay? Or the fact of the matter is some of the promises that were made to him, including some of the credits and money that he should have been compensated for the production that he made on the Love album, wasn't paid, didn't come through. So therefore, here he is whining and complaining and turning it into all of this in which he was involved in, which doesn't make it any more right. But that's just my thoughts on this. In the third occurrence, he goes on to say that Combs tried to set him up and groom him to engage in gay sex. He talks about the fact that one of the producers who he absolutely idolized, Stephen Aaron Jordan, better known as Stevie J, who was an American DJ, record producer, and television personality who won a Grammy for working on Puff's debut album. And then throughout the 90s, this guy had credits including production with Mariah Carey, Tevin Campbell, Notorious B.I.G., 112, Jodeci, Faith Evans, even Jay-Z. It says that he was one of the producers as well on the Love album. Now, Diddy, according to Jones, used access to Stevie J and his knowledge of Mr. Jones' admiration to groom and entice him to engage in homosexuality. It says that he went so far as to share a video of Stevie J committing a sexual act with another man, and this was done basically to ease Mr. Jones' anxiety concerning homosexuality. According to Mr. Combs, he said, this is a normal practice in the music industry. Look, even Stevie J is doing it. And then this is where it gets really weird and wacky. He says here on line 71 of page 13 in these legal documents that Mr. Combs or Diddy informed Lil Rod that Diddy told basically Lil Rod this, that he had engaged in sexual intercourse with rapper 5, who is redacted, and R&B singer 6, redacted, and Stevie J. So he had homosexual sex with all three of these people. Now, who are these redacted characters? Well, it gives us some information. It redacts it, but then it goes on to give us detailed information. I heard academics, and he was talking about this. He said it was kind of like he's playing Jeopardy, right? He's throwing up the information for people to guess. He says this, rapper 5 redacted, and then down below on the bottom of page 13, it gives you a key to kind of give you information on who it's talking about. It says, number 5, he is a Philadelphia rapper who dated Nicki Minaj. I wonder who that could be. Philadelphia rapper dated Nicki Minaj. Is he talking about Meek Mill? Okay. Keep that there. And you know what? A matter of fact, let's roll a couple of the videos and pictures in regards to Meek Mill's relationship with Diddy, just to give some context behind that.
What's up, King Son? Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, Daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
Why are you doing bunny hops, Meek? Because you got your beat in tennis. You got your beat. Keep going. Count out loud. Count out loud.
30.
Huh?
4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 41.
Now, the next person is, that's not weird enough already, says that the R&B singer, who's redacted here, okay, we go down on the bottom of page 13. It says number 6 to match up with that. It says he performed, this person who's redacted, performed at the Super Bowl and had a successful Vegas residency. Okay, USHER lived in Vegas, and he also recently performed at the Super Bowl. And as a matter of fact, there's some video along with USHER as well, and that connection there with him and Diddy. Watch this.
The garden stage. That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, damn, pause, but like, that's how. I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the Frosted Flakes because he used to always get up early with me. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world. And
What the did Puff just say? Nobody's going to acknowledge this but me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the Frosted Flakes. And we're streaming live. That was stupid. Listen, that was stupid. Listen.
We're having a good time. Your Usher made it in the...
Absolute insanity. And then it goes on to say in line 72 of this page 13, Mr. Combs promised to make sure that Mr. Jones wins Producer of the Year at the Grammys if he engaged in homosexuality. Now, as a member of the Recording Academy myself, that would render the entire academy null and void and whacked out if people were able to do something like this. But the insanity and the insinuation of that occurring is just beyond me. I mean, that's wild for him to even say something like that. And hopefully that gets investigated further. to check out the validity and how far that rabbit hole goes, if there's connections in the relationship there that tie back to the academy. That would be damning, and those people, if involved, need to be removed immediately and held legally responsible. Now, one of the next allegations, he goes on to talk about this place called Booby Trap on the River. Number 89 of page 18, he says, as part of Mr. Jones' sex worker recruitment tools, Mr. Combs provided Mr. Jones with an exclusive bad boy baseball cap and required him to wear it to the Booby Trap on the River as a signal to any sex worker he approached that Mr. Combs was in town and had sent Mr. Jones to recruit them. Meaning that this was a normal occurrence, or this is something that Diddy was familiar with and consistently did when he was in town. It said Mr. Jones had no desire to solicit the sex worker from Booby Trap on the River. Mr. Combs used his power and influence to intimidate and force Mr. Jones into soliciting sex from Booby Trap on the River or workers there. As detailed below, Mr. Combs used many tactics to maintain dominion and control over Mr. Jones. Apparently, these workers were accustomed to servicing Mr. Combs and would know that he was in town by sight of the bad boy baseball cap. It goes on to say down below on line 93 of page 19 that Mr. Jones had no desire to solicit or have sex with individuals. In the previous paragraph, Mr. Combs uses power and influence to intimidate, force Mr. Jones into soliciting and sleeping with these women. Come on, bro. Give me a break. He forced you and intimidated you into sleeping with these women. No. You don't stick around for a whole year plus with somebody doing these things if you weren't in on it and had no desire to do it. You just can't give me that as a grown man. I'm sorry. And that's just my opinion. Now, all of this is sick, but this one really hit me right here and really pissed me off. But we know that these things actually happen. I mean, just look at The Sound of Freedom and what we saw take place in that movie. But this will not be called out because this is a ritualistic occult practice of the music and entertainment space in order to get to the upper levels, the upper echelon conduct in these activities, guys. This thing says here that Mr. Combs and Jay Combs solicit, drug, and engage in illicit sex acts with minors and sex workers. It says on or about July 2nd of 23 in California, Mr. Combs had a listening party at his home. Present at this party was R&B artist 9 Redacted. Who's that? Go down below. It says he's a Grammy Award-winning R&B singer who had trouble with law enforcement after assaulting a Bajan billionaire. I think that would be Rihanna. So he's talking about Chris Brown. Okay. So present at the party was Chris Brown, potentially, Justin Combs, sex workers, and some underage girls. The event began at 7 p.m. Mr. Combs requested female sex workers and required Mr. Jones to solicit them. An hour later, several sex workers appeared. In addition to sex workers, there were at least 5 women in the crowd that were under the age of 16. Now, we know he's had underage girls around him before. Apparently, somebody who he's adopted before. You don't believe me? Let me show you a video.
Yeah, I'm Quincy. I want to say thank y'all for rocking with us.
One of the prettiest motherfuckers God ever made. Sorry.
I'm a Gemini, for everybody wondering. And thank y'all so much for just, tuning in with us. We felt the energy. We saw the comments. Let's keep it going. This is, we wanted to do this to just wake everybody up in a way of just, in a loving way. So help everybody have a happy Easter. Anybody else?
Yeah. Everyone, introduce yourself.
My name's Ava. I'm a Scorpio.
No. What's your last name?
Oh, Ava Combs.
What's your other last name?
Ava Baroni.
Eva Baroni Combs. Yes, it was breaking news. Diddy adopted a white child. I want you to tell them the story about how I adopted you. But you still have beautiful parents that, but you're my child also. But please tell the story.
So, I was on the streets, and then Papa Combs decided that he would like to be a caring man. So then he saw me and decided to pick me up and said to come inside and play with his kids.
Ava, that's like a little bit like borderline suspect. I don't want nobody, we want to get it clear. I adopted you like Madonna adopted kids and everybody else adopted kids, Charlize Theron, everybody that's ever adopted Sandra Bullock. I adopted you because I felt that you could, enjoy also having a black parent to take care of you and help you out. So just clarify it, because it's crazy out here online. So you play with the kids, and I got permission from your mother, and say all of that to just make it, because it's crazy out here.
Well, I met Jesse and Delilah when I was 6 months old.
6 months.
And then we basically are sisters, all four of us. So. And
6 months is crazy.
I always come over.
Yes. And it's Ava Brioni Combs. Come on.
It goes on to say that Mr. Combs forced all of the women to drink laced de Leon liquor, which is a brand that he owns, along also with Ciroc, right? Upon information and belief, Mr. Combs laced the liquor with ecstasy. Mr. Combs did not check the identification of any of these underage girls. The presence of these underage women made Mr. Jones very uncomfortable. BS again, I call that on him. I mean, just my opinion, right? And then he attempted to leave. Mr. Combs forced him to stay. Mr. Combs went so far as to take Mr. Jones' car keys to prevent him from leaving. After being forced to drink the Lace de Leon, Mr. Jones began feeling lightheaded and recalls passing out and waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning naked with a sex worker sleeping next to him. Screenshots of a video from that night is embedded below. You can kind of see some of that there. And one of the last ones I'll show you is that Mr. Combs, it says, attempts to pass off Mr. Jones to Cuba Gooding Jr., the actor. It says Mr. Jones believes that Mr. Combs was grooming him to pass him off to his friends. This fear became reality when Diddy introduced Mr. Jones to Cuba Gooding Jr. while they were on Mr. Combs' yacht. It says during the introduction, Diddy suggested that Cuba get to know Mr. Jones better. Then he left them alone in a makeshift studio on the yacht. As evidenced by a video of which screenshots are embedded below, Cuba Gooding Jr. began touching, groping, and fondling Mr. Jones' legs, upper thighs, near his groin, the small of his back, near his buttocks, and his shoulders. Sick, man. Mr. Jones was extremely uncomfortable and proceeded to lean away from Mr. Cuba Gooding Jr. He rejected his advances, and Mr. Gooding Jr. did not stop until Mr. Jones forcibly pushed him away. The following is a screenshot of the encounter with Cuba Gooding Jr. This is wild. I mean, he goes on to talk about a number of different things. The Love album, what he wasn't compensated for, what he was promised to receive, which he never did. He talks about the fact that Jennifer Lopez was involved in potentially bringing a gun into a New York bar or nightclub when there was a shooting with Shine back in 1999. He talks about the intimidation and fear tactics that he supposedly used, saying that he had a gentleman by the name of Mr. Muhammad who could make people disappear, problems go away. And that he could basically, if he didn't even care about his own mother, Diddy told him this, and he would take her out, then he would gladly take care of him. He said he would eat his face if he didn't comply and do what Diddy was telling him to do. Utilizing power and prestige to manipulate, control, and bewitch people, blackmailing them from the fact that they said that in his facilities, all his various facilities, he had a gentleman by the name of Jose Cruz, okay, who is his IT guy. And Jose Cruz took pictures and video of everything. He had it all. It says that while living and traveling with Mr. Combs, Mr. Jones discovered that they had hidden cameras in every room in all of his homes and believes that he has recordings of defendants like Lucian Grange, right? Other celebrities, music label executives, politicians, and even athletes. It says upon information and belief, these individuals were recorded without their knowledge or consent. As in the case with homosexual sex tape of Stevie J that Mr. Combs provided to Mr. Jones, Mr. Combs possesses compromising footage of every person that has attended his freak-offs, which I'm not even going to get into. You can kind of think of that for yourself, what that means, right? They would have different people in and do a number of crazy stuff too, and his house parties. Upon information and belief, due to this treasure trove of evidence he has in his possession, Diddy believes that he is above the law and untouchable. Upon information and belief, Mr. Combs employs Jose Cruz as his IT director. This guy has basically been out of the camera, off social media, and off the internet due to the fact that he has incriminating information of acts that he's recorded and has access to, blackmail tapes. And that's why they have this picture here side by side of Diddy and KK, Christina Quorum, and Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. But does this really surprise any of you? It doesn't surprise me. This is the entertainment and the music industry. This is how things operate within this space. It's sick, it's twisted, but people still believe that this is not true. This is just a conspiracy theory. It's just made up, man. This is how things work in this space. It's Luciferian. There's very much occult rituals being conducted. The blackmail, the ability to manipulate and control people, it is witchcraft. And this is basically what happens. You have good people who come into the industry, talented people, an artist who comes in aspiring and they get picked up by a label, and label says, yeah, we want to sign you to this contract. And the artist thinks, yeah, hey, they're picking me up and signing me because I really have this ability and this talent that they want. I'm unique. So the label picks them up. They take them to a few parties. They start to wine and dine them, connect them with other celebrities and big names in the industry. And they get you relaxed. They make you feel comfortable, like everything's okay. Then, while you're drunk or you're high off of something, guess what? They're taking pictures and video of you taking that stuff. Then they get you so intoxicated, you're belligerent, don't even know what you're doing. Next thing you know, they got sex workers coming in. They got underage kids coming in. You're doing all kinds of God knows what craziness with them. Guess what? Those cameras are going off. Videos recording exactly what you're doing. Now, they have this information in their back pocket and you don't even know it as the artist. So guess what happens? Now playtime's over. And the label says, you know what? Okay, we're ready to go ahead and start recording on your project. We want you to film this video doing this type of homosexual act or praising the devil or worshiping this or doing this type of occult ritual on screen and pitching this kind of message of violence or murder or drug use, whatever it might be. And guess what? You might say, that's not really my vision. You know, as an artist, you guys signed me. You know, this is my vision and what I want to do. No. You're going to do what we say. Well, hey, man, if you're going to do this, then I'll just exit out of my contract. Let me go ahead and see where that sunset clause is so I can just get out of this thing. Okay, you want to get out of the contract? Okay, no problem. They slide you over the videos, some of the pictures that they got and say, it's interesting. We saw you doing these things and we got this stuff documented that you were involved in. You try to go public with this or get out of your contract or you don't want to comply with what we're doing? Well, guess what? We're going to put this stuff out, send you away to prison. You'll be gone. You'll be out of here. Or, we could just take your life and get you off the face of the earth. Which one do you want? And so what happens? These artists with their hands tied behind their back, they don't want to be exposed like this. That's not who they really are. But they got caught up in this stuff. And now they have to comply. Now those chains have come on. Now they're a slave to what this label is telling them to do. And now they have to fall in line. And just like a prisoner who's got life already in prison, what does it mean for them to commit a crime? Hey, the gang or whatever their affiliation with in prison tells them to do something, they got to do it. I'm already here anyway. So this artist does the same thing. Now that they used to have feelings and they used to have a conscience, now that conscience is seared with a hot iron. And now they say, well, I'm already doomed anyway, man. It's not like I can get out of this thing. I might as well just go along with it. And now they become a slave. They've been bewitched under that spell, under that witchcraft. And now they're a tool. Now they're a puppet. Now they're saying the things that the label wants them to say, these narratives that are created. These high-level people who operate under this spirit of Antichrist, who people think it's some conspiracy theory. Now they're operating under the spirit of Antichrist and being the mouthpiece to spit the narrative out and the actions out that these labels, these industries are trying to pitch and put over as spells and witchcraft onto the general population, your kids, yourself included. Drug culture. Man, they don't even do drugs like that. Now they're talking about drugs, talking about gang violence, killing people, raping people, murdering people, doing all kinds of insanity, homosexuality, etc., worshiping of the devil. And they got you believing it because that narrative is being put down through their puppet that has been blackmailed into doing these things. They are owned, controlled, completely manipulated, and are now bewitching you. You pay your dues, you fall in line, you do what you're supposed to do, you listen to what you're told. They start giving you some placement. You start moving up in that ladder throughout the industry like a Diddy. And guess what? You start to think you are above the law. You start to think that you are without consequence. You can just do whatever you want now. But guess what? You're not the top. You don't own the industry. These are still owned by people who you will never know what their face looks like or maybe even what their name really is. The people who run the world. The societies that put these institutions in place to bind and hold your attention. The people who seek to operate to destroy and demoralize civilizations, destabilize them, add crisis, and then normalize them and say, this is the new normal. This is how sexuality is. It's okay to question your gender. It's okay to change it up, even if you're young. It's okay to commit murder and crime and act all crazy and be toxic and do these things in your relationship. It's fine. Just do it. But guess what? In Diddy's case, what he's finding out right now, and what he's probably going to find out, what it looks like the road he's heading down, is that you can play the game all you want. You can even buy into it and go along with it. But one day, just like when you're in Vegas, you're winning, and then all of a sudden the house flips it, baby, because the house always wins in Sin City. And that's exactly what's taking place right now. And so I wanted to share this with you guys again, not to gossip, but I wanted to give you insight into what the entertainment and the music industry is really like, what's really happening. You have good people with good intentions, just like the road to hell is paved with great intentions. But these people come in and they sign, they're blackmailed, they're brought into all kinds of craziness, and it's being used against them to slam them, to lock them in, to chain them up, just like Satan does. He comes to steal, kill, and to destroy. He comes to chain you up and turn you into a slave. He who sins is a slave to sin. But Christ said, I came to give you life and that much more abundantly. He came to free the captives. And that's why we're here. That's why my wife and I, over the last number of years that we've been in the industry, 3 particular people that we are very close with. One person is one of the top artists in the world, period. I'm not even going to go into the full detail of that relationship because of the confidentiality and the respect that I have for this individual. But I will say this. There are people who are coming to Christ. People who are turning their life around. They're still under contractual obligation, but there is real revival. There is real change that's happening inside the industry. That's taking place, taking shape. So instead of supporting that madness, we have to boycott these industries. We have to boycott these things and walk away from them. Don't support them. Support them by praying for them. Support them by praying and pouring in to what we're doing so that we can continue to make ground, take ground, and see people's lives change, to see this revival take shape in these spaces, in these dark spaces. There's still grace and favor. Like it says, where sin abounds, grace does much more abound. So pray for us, guys. Pray for these people. Pray for the people who are in at the bottom level, who are working their way up. And listen, if you're an aspiring artist or you're a fan, you're looking at these things, you're so consumed and inebriated, you feel like, man, my life is meaningless if I don't have the money, if I don't live in a mansion, if I don't travel on a private jet, if I don't do these things. These people, I'm telling you firsthand, these people are empty. They're broken. You can get to a certain point where those pleasures of sin do last for a season, but once that season's over, there's nothing left. It's emptiness. It's vanity. It's meaningless. And they're searching and wishing they can go back to a place where they can just be simple, in peace, in joy, in rest. But now there's obligations and chains that are placed on that they can't break out from, because it's not as easy as just getting out of a contract. When you're playing with money and you're playing with big players like this, there's a price to pay. And sometimes that price is your life. So I hope you see this and I hope your eyes are open. Don't be fooled by the madness that's out there. Seek life, seek peace, seek something eternal that far exceeds this, because this stuff is passing away. This is meaningless. But the life after this in eternity is what really matters. And that's why it's so important to give your life to Christ and to turn to the one true creator who came and died on the cross and rose again on the 3rd day for your sins so you can be saved. That's real life, because that life's going to last forever. So I highly encourage you to seek after that life. If you want to talk more about this and about faith and about seeking Christ and knowing who Jesus is, by all means, email me, DM me. My contact information is down below. Look, if you like this content and you enjoy it, smash that thumbs up button, okay? Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and make sure you pick up some merch. Send in a donation to support what we do as alternative media. Listen, without you, we can't do what we do. And I put out a book as well called How to Fight Ideological Subversion. It's both an ebook and audiobook format. I want you to pick it up. What it's telling you it's showing you the fact that there are real psychological operations like what we just discussed. Manipulations and tactics to blind you from really seeing the truth of what's going on in our world. And the fact is, in this book, I'm showing you how to recognize it, how to see it, how to fight against it, and how to wake others up around you, friends, family members, your communities. It's important to see this. Guys, pick up a copy and support what we do. And as always, until next time, continue to fight those psyops.